Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Homeland Security says a gunman shot 3 detainees at an ICE facility in Dallas before taking his own life. And it's almost been 1 year since the remnants of Helen tore through East Tennessee and several other states.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. Happy Thursday to you, Mountain family. I'm Amelia Lee here with you on this September 25th. We are quickly approaching 5 o'clock this morning, and that means it is time for a check of our weather. First thing with Megan Dusmal. And I didn't see any rain this morning. I saw kind of the remnants of it, but it wasn't actively falling this morning.
Yeah, that's kind of what we have going on. A little bit of a break for a lot of our eastern counties. However, we do have a line of some storms moving through this morning. Here's a look at that live pinpoint Doppler radar. You can just see that heavy rain in portions of Wayne County, Pulaski County, Rockcastle County as you're traveling to Jackson, Estill, Powell, Menifee. That line is moving across our region. We'll see that as we're traveling into the next couple of hours. And then we're looking at scattered showers and storms for the remainder of your day. Currently, though, we are sitting very warm for this time of year, upper 60s and low 70s. And by the time we're heading into the afternoon, we're looking at the upper 70s with some folks hanging out in the mid 70s. Overall, not too bad of a day temperature wise, but of course you got to keep your eyes out for the heavy rainfall that we're still going to be watching over the region. Here's a look over the course of the next 12 hours. Again, lots of rain chances. High temperatures for the day will be around that 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock time frame. Amelia.
Homeland Security says a gunman shot 3 detainees at an ICE facility in Dallas, Texas, before taking his own life. One of the victims has died. The FBI called it a targeted attack against ICE. No law enforcement officers were hurt, but this is the 3rd attack at a Texas immigration facility in the past few months. Well, we learned when the suspect in a double murder will make his first court appearance. Joshua Cottrell was charged with killing Kayla Blake and her 13-year-old daughter, Kennedy McWhorter, last Friday. Cottrell was arrested in Paducah. He was moved to the Montgomery County Jail last night. Court records say he'll be in a Rowan County courtroom on Monday morning. Cottrell is facing 2 counts of murder and an evidence tampering charge. Well, friends of Kayla Blake told us that she was in a relationship with Cottrell. This case, along with the July murder of a Moorhead teenager, is creating conversations about domestic violence. Jackson Plank spoke to a domestic violence advocate.
They should not be ashamed by what's happened to them. It is not their fault. We should not define survivors by what's happened to them.
Darlene Thomas has worked with many victims of domestic violence. As the executive director of Greenhouse 17, much of her life's work has been dedicated to being a resource for victims.
I don't think we should minimize abuse or people's experiences at all. We need to listen. We need to hear what survivors are telling us.
Thomas says domestic violence can take many forms, including financial, verbal, or sexual abuse. According to Thomas, domestic violence is when a partner uses patterns of behavior to gain dominance over the other partner. She says that it likely occurs once the abuser feels they have a commitment from the victim.
Domestic violence really doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter what size your house is or how much education you have. It's about power and control.
In the latest 2024 Kentucky Domestic Violence Data Report, nearly 33,000 electronic forms relating to domestic or dating violence were filed. Those reports indicate nearly 7,900 arrests were made for such incidents. According to Thomas, nearly 1 in 3 women in Kentucky will have experienced domestic violence in their lifetime, whereas 1 in 10 men will have been a victim. She says to make things better, people should take the time to educate themselves and listen to victims when they report abuse. To anyone who believes they might be a victim, she says to believe in what you're feeling.
You just need to trust yourself. You know what's happening to you. You can't fix another human being. All you can do is take care of you at the end of the day.
In Lexington, Jackson Plank, WKYT.
Back in May, we brought you the story of James Harrison, the director of the Kentucky Reptile Zoo in Powell County, who was bitten by a highly venomous Jameson's mamba. Harrison was given anti-venom and eventually released from the hospital in June. When he was bit, a Powell County EMS worker and Judge Executive Eddie Barnes were the ones to administer that anti-venom. It was only after the fact they learned they violated state policy, which says wilderness paramedics are the only ones allowed to administer anti-venom to patients. Barnes says Harrison and medical professionals have told him those actions saved Harrison's life. And Barnes said he'd do it all again.
If we had sat there and let him die, then we would have been, morally and ethically responsible, and we could have been criminally charged for his death.
Powell County EMS workers and Powell County Judge Executive Eddie Barnes will go before the Kentucky Board of Emergency Medical Services to share why they should keep their licenses after administering anti-venom to Harrison on September 30th. The FEMA Disaster Recovery Center in Perry County will close permanently this weekend. That location at Hazard Community and Technical College will close at 1 o'clock Saturday. Disaster survivors from February 14th through March 7th can still contact FEMA for assistance. Well, this Saturday marks 1 year since the remnants of Helen tore through East Tennessee and several other states. Tuesday night in Newport, 2 churches hosted a joint service to honor the victims and reflect on the recovery process. Many community members turned out for the service hosted by Riverview Baptist and First Baptist Newport. Members of Empower Cook County and the Bread Basket talked about how the tragedy brought their community together.
Victims who lived in Del Rio for years get our paths never crossed and are now my dear friends. People who I would have never met if not for the flood.
Well, many events are happening throughout Cook County to mark the anniversary this week. Friday, the morning will start with a moment to recognize the first call during the floods and the 2 lives lost. Then there will be a river walk event and a fundraiser dinner. Saturday will have a day of fun at the fairgrounds. A Pike County business that was hit by the February flood reopened yesterday. The gaming company was originally located in the Weddington Plaza in the city of Coal Run, but has been closed since floodwaters destroyed the shopping center in February. The store is back in a new location with an expected space on Pikeville's Hambly Boulevard, inviting folks to be part of the gaming company community.
We're a game store. We're a lot of people will call us a nerd store, a nerd haven, but having stuff available for anybody. We're not just gamers.
Varney said the business will resume its buying and trading program at the end of October. The Supreme Court of Appeals of West Virginia paid a visit to Marshall University as part of the Court of Campus program. The court heard oral arguments in 3 cases designed to give students a first-hand look at the state's highest court in action. In addition to Marshall students, about 200 students from Huntington and Cable Midland high schools were in attendance.
There's real value in every citizen understanding how all of our government works, to include the judicial branch, which is one of 3 branches of government. And you can learn about it by reading in a book, but nothing replaces the actual seeing of what it does.
The Supreme Court also conducted a question and answer session with students, giving them an opportunity to interact with members of the state's highest court. Well, the IRS has announced it's phasing out paper tax refund checks for individual taxpayers. It's the result of an executive order that mandates all federal payments must transition to electronic methods. Officials say the change is designed to protect taxpayers as well as expedite the refund process. The IRS says the change will go into effect September 30th. Well, thanks so much for getting your day started with us on Mountain News this morning at 5:08. Students throughout the country participated in See You at the Pool. The poll setting aside time to pray for the state, country, and nation.
And we're continuing to track heavy rainfall across eastern Kentucky.